How y'all doing? Good morning. I was call. I want to start this day off by acknowledging God and saying thank you for waking me up. First off. Second off, I want you to look at this picture. This is a picture of the richest man documented, the richest man ever to have lived, even compared to the people that are here now. His name is Mansa Musa. He was a king. He was in Africa. You can research him. I'm not going to go into detail. But he was very rich, very prosperous. He made his money off of gold. He's very powerful. In fact, he gave away so much gold on his pilgrimage that he affected the economy. He was very generous. So the topic of this discussion is wealth, money, how to get it, what is it, and at the end I give you my ideas, and you could take them, you could leave them, you could challenge it. But I want to first, go into what money really is. As of right now in this economy, we have what's called fiat currency. Fiat is money that the government basically says has value because of its military strength and because it controls it. Other than that, it's really worthless. It used to be backed by gold, but in 1971, we were taken off the gold standard. So now we have fiat currency, which means that it's regulated, more specifically by the Federal Reserve. They make the monetary fiscal policy. They determine the Fed rate, the fund rate, what rates the bank, use to lend money, the money that they borrow from the Treasury. They determine the interest rates for mortgages. So they determine what's going on. In I think 2006 and 7, when the real estate market crashed, that was because of the monetary fiscal policy and the relaxed lending policies for the mortgage industry, and that's what created the bubble, and that's what created the havoc, and people lost a lot of homes. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but it's all fiat, which means it's paper, and it really doesn't have any value. Now, if you want to be an entrepreneur, like a lot of people do, people want to have independence, financial freedom, economic empowerment. You know how the story goes. You have a lot of people motivating you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think balance is always key. You could be a fool with money. I know I was. I was at the point where I was living based on my own rules without God. Not so much as not like without him, but not really loving him more. How about that? I was loving maybe myself and my abilities and my gift and talent more than I loved him. So in essence, I wasn't able to maintain that. However, I want to help you in your pursuit. First, you need to understand business principles. And I'm not going to go in depth in terms of all the intricacies of the processes of building a business because it's very detailed. But a lot of people don't have knowledge of economics. People want money. People want freedom. People want to have passive income. People want to have intrinsic value. People want to have earned income, portfolio income, assets, real estate, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, IRAs, all those different things, right? But first, you have to understand that if you're going to work a job, you got a few options that you can do. And then if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's going to be a harder road, but the reward will be greater. Before you go into a journey of starting a business, you first have to understand basics of economics. And I'm not going to give you the higher level because I have gone to college. I have a master's degree, but I'm not going to get into the deep meat of it. I'm going to give you the basics. You got to understand that everything that you think may make money may not. Everything has a value. Everything has a supply and demand. And some products have what's called inelasticity and elasticity of demand, meaning some products you can charge whatever you want for it and people will still buy it. For example, cigarettes. People will buy it no matter how much they cost because they're addicted. Then you got other things, because there's really not too many substitutes for cigarettes. But then you got other things like food. You have a lot of substitutes for food. So you really can't keep charging too much for it because there's a lot of options. But some markets like healthy food, you don't have a lot of alternatives for that. So that could be expensive. So you got to understand those ways of seeing the market and understand how the value increase, and when the quantity increases, the value goes down. When the supply is higher, what I'm saying, then the value comes down, and opposite is true. Okay, so those are basics. Next, I want to talk about what is wealth. Um, so now you know that money is really not money, but it's currency, which is dictated by the government and their strength. The reason why America is America is because of our military strength. I'm a veteran. I served my country. I was a Air Force cop. So I got a chance to see some things internationally and understand the dynamics. But you need to know that America is America because we are strong with our military, and we dominate in a lot of those arenas, and as it relates to countries, and we have infrastructure that we can support our country. But what's happening right now is we have a problem. I actually think it's a crisis, because right now the value of the dollar is being challenged because of the increase in debt and the lack of the increase in GDP. Now, because we have so much treasury debt, the China has a lot of debt, Russia, everybody bought our T-bills over all these years. Now it's come to the point where they don't have as much value. The rate of return is not the best. The projection of the economic situation is not the best because we don't have enough people to support the baby boomers and to replace them with jobs. We're not an industrial industry. We're not industrial like we once was. We don't have a lot of jobs, manufacturing. So that affects the whole system, which affects the value of the dollar, which affects the inflation, which makes the Federal Reserve make different decisions as it relates to the monetary fiscal policy. But a lot of us don't know that. The only thing we know is how much gas is, how much milk is, how much rent is, how much all these things. But we're not looking at the big picture. And then when things happen like the Great Depression, all of a sudden, boom, the market crash, or just say 2006, boom, the real estate market crash. Everybody gets affected, especially the people that's not prepared. So I would suggest to you that you need to have a plan for your family in terms of surviving. The Bible says that my people perish for a lack of knowledge. My people perish for a lack of knowledge. So we need to have knowledge as relates to money and economics. So that's just some ideas. And like I said, wealth is really a measurement of time. It's a measurement of time. It means how long can you live without working. And if you follow Robert Kiyosaki's motto or structure and his ideology, he considered it to be different quadrants: the E, the S, the B, the I, which is earn income. Employee, small business, self-employed, business owner, and investor. So he wants you to be on the right side of the quadrant, and he wants you to have cash flow. And his idea of wealth creation would be real estate and stocks, paper assets, etc. So anyway, before you get to those different levels, you need to invest in your education. I'm not just talking college education, because college don't even teach you how to get wealthy. You have to get that type of information from people who've been there, people who've seen things that you haven't. You can't go nowhere. You can't take nobody somewhere that you've never been. So I spend my time teaching, biblical principles, because I believe success is not really success if you don't have God as your Lord. And I think that that's the reason why God said, he says in his word that the blessing of the Lord maketh one rich, and he has no sorrow. And he also said that if you love money, that's the root of all evil. So you got to have balance when it comes to wealth. God doesn't mind you being wealthy, but he wants you to know that he's the one that gives you the ability to gain the wealth. And I think that was the biggest issue between the children of Israel and God. And that's the reason why they went through so many things, because They got cocky, they got prideful. So anyway, I just want to put this on your mind that God is supreme, and He is the one that created everything. So the money, the gold, the oil, the diamonds, everything, the copper, the steel, the water, everything is God's, and that's what He says in His words. He says the gold and silver belongs to me. So while we down here trying to be successful and be a boss and have a dynasty, you know what, man? You got to challenge yourself in that area. I'm not saying don't be successful. I'm not saying don't be ambitious. But what I am saying is build your house correctly, and don't sacrifice your character and your reputation for money, because your name is worth something. You don't have to go sell drugs to make money. I didn't sell drugs and I made some money just using my mind. But because God wasn't supreme, it was hard to manage all that success. So I had to learn some life lessons. I learned a lot, and I talk about it in my book, The Light Switch, the Bipolar Preacher. You can pick it up if you're interested in seeing the details. I did talk about how I did use real estate and stocks and different things, and started businesses to make money. Because I was 21 when I built the house when I was 21. I had a business when I was 21, and I was in the military. So I was functioning at a high level. So I seen a lot of success really quick, and then I seen a lot of instability and hard the struggle with maintaining it, because my heart and my emotions and my spirituality was not in line with my values and my flesh. So it was a struggle. So anyway, I want to get into depth. I just want you to know that wealth is a measurement of time. And if you want to create currency, you need to have new ideas. You need to have an expanded mind. You need to invest in your knowledge. Read as many books as you can about business, entrepreneurship, accounting, management, leadership, character, ethics. It's a lot of things that you need. I've helped so many people become prosperous, but I've seen that so many people don't really care that you help them, because once they get there, their character is going to show. And remember this: money will make you more of who you are. So ask yourself, who are you? God bless.